I do think the math tells us with the power law that kind of 500,000 would be kind of the top in this particular, in the next couple of years. Why? Because 500,000 would be kind of 2 times trend line, and we've never seen any of the previous bubbles go beyond 2 times trend line. It just doesn't seem likely. And it does seem that, if anything, percentage to trend line seems to be diminishing. So I would say 500,000 would be a high. It's still within the power law. It's not like all our models are going to be broken because you hit 500,000, but it could happen, right? And if it happens, when it breaks, I do suspect that, just like any bubble, we will revert back down through the trend line. We will stabilize at something like 1 standard deviation down below, and that would be just extremely painful. That would be a 75% retracement from the high. It's going to be brutal.
In this video, DotKrueger discuss about happening in bull market in past years, that changing was pathetic in every year according to past experience. These kinds of volumes typically indicate that bullish momentum may be building up in the near future, when combined with older Bitcoin holdings re-entering the market. With multiple significant moving averages providing support and resistance levels, it appears that Bitcoin is consolidating around the $62,000 range, according to the market data. The volume of on-chain transactions involving Bitcoin surged recently, reaching an astounding $37.4 billion in just one day. This is the largest increase since March 12th. When driven by dormant whale activity, as indicated by Lukenchain's insights, this level of activity typically indicates underlying market dynamics worth closely monitoring. Large holders are acting, as seen by the $15.6 million movement from Binance that was recorded in the transaction metrics. This is an example of dormant coins being brought back into circulation. This could portend a price rally, as it frequently corresponds to significant changes in Bitcoin's price. The sudden surge in price combined with the rise in transaction volume points to the possibility that Bitcoin is preparing for a more significant move on the market, possibly testing the $65,000 mark once more. Given that significant price swings, whether positive or negative, usually precede on-chain transaction spikes, this is especially important. Volatility on Bitcoin is still there despite this volume, with traders waiting to see whether this influx will create sustained upward pressure or merely be a momentary uptick. The $65,000 resistance level remains a crucial line to watch. If this is broken, there could be even bigger moves ahead, but if the current support is broken, Bitcoin might drop back into the mid-$50,000 range. For quite some time, cryptocurrencies have always been one of the areas where numerous investors, traders, and tech enthusiasts focus their attention. As we enter a new cycle, many think that Bitcoin, BTC, is likely to be the first forward movement in a general market pump, which may elongate Ethereum, ETH, and Solana, SOL, among other assets. This article describes why analysts are positive about these assets and what factors could push their prices even higher. Before going further, do subscribe my channel and turn on notification or more updates.
There's a lot of bubbles that happen, and you know they're a bubble, but you just can't tell when they're going to pop. The answer is, I don't know. And I think if we get in one of these exponential bubbles in 2025, and I see that we may get into one, right? There are a lot of elements for us to get into one. Trump getting elected, adoption of a Bitcoin standard, the change in the SEC, Dubai starting to stack Bitcoin. There could be a number of catalysts that really bring us into like a full-blown just mania trend like we had in 2017. And if we do get into that, I don't think math tells us really, yeah, we're going to stop at 200,000 or 250,000 or 300,000. We might go to 500,000. Now, I do think the math tells us with the power law that kind of 500,000 would be kind of the top in this particular, in the next couple of years. Why? Because 500,000 would be kind of 2 times trend line, and we've never seen any of the previous bubbles go beyond 2 times trend line. Just doesn't seem likely. And it does seem that, if anything, percentage to trend line seems to be diminishing. So I would say 500,000 would be a high. It's still within the power law. It's not like all our models are going to be broken because you hit 500,000, but it could happen, right? And if it happens, when it breaks, I do suspect that just like any bubble, we will revert back down through the trend line and we will stabilize at something like one standard deviation down below. And that would be just extremely painful. That would be a 75% retracement from the high. It's going to be brutal. On the other hand, maybe we don't have one of these speculative bubbles. We're not in one now, right? We are 20% below trend line right now. We are getting some much more rational players come into this market than in the 2017 bubble. We are getting more sustainability than we had in the last bubble, where we had a lot of schemes like FTX and Do Kwon, which were unraveling and which were not sustainable.
DotKrueger talk about bubbles showing in chart, and according to him, it had never been seen in past. The past 24 hours were relatively calm, at least in terms of price action. In fact, the total cryptocurrency market, the derivatives market, saw a combined total of about $120 million worth of liquidated positions throughout the period, with $69 million of them being long traders. Apparently, bears are currently in control of the price action. Capitalization remained flat at around $2.26 trillion. All eyes were on the HBO documentary Money Electric, The Bitcoin Mystery, which aired last night. The film claims to have identified Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous creator of Bitcoin. According to it, that's Peter Todd, a 39-year-old software developer who's been known to have ties to the community spanning back a long time.
That's all. This is possible. And if that happens, I don't see why we couldn't continue on into 2026 and have, say, a 40% increase in 2025 or 50% increase in 2025 and another 40% increase in 2026 or maybe also in 2027. So I don't think these things are incompatible with the power law. Again, trying to predict bubbles, I feel, is hard, and I will let other people do that. What I think I'm going to do is probably go with the Kelly criterion rebalancing, where I don't have to predict. So what I don't want to do is sell all my Bitcoin based on some notion that we're at a bubble. I don't want to do it. What I want to do is, at most, rebalance to something like a 70% allocation. So there's a lot of math for why Kelly is a good strategy. And again, I'm not going to I don't want to pick an argument or something with Giovanni about what bubbles. All I'm saying is I don't believe that my predictive ability for when we get into an exponential bubble, which we're not in right now, is very good.
The price of Bitcoin increasing in every year, like in 2025, it increase up to 40%. Perhaps in 2025, it will increase 45%. There may be many possibilities. What do you view about it? Share your thoughts in comments section. Do subscribe my channel and turn on notification bell for more updates. Thanks for watching.